these are just questions from the internet. So be thinking of your own questions. We're gonna do our little Q&A here real quick. And I'll just like take hands after I get through some of these. So these were asked by people online on Instagram mostly. So here's some ones that I got. How long did it take to write fictional? I feel like this question's a tricky one because it depends what you mean by write. Actually putting words on the page, like a month and a half. But getting it done, we're here like 3 years later. So that gives you an idea. Top 3 tips for writing consistently. I didn't think about this before, so that's a really good question. The first one I would give is just like grit. Like you just have to sit down and force the words out of you. I think lots of writers are like, I just gotta wait until I'm inspired, and if you do, I don't think you'll ever finish a book, because every book has moments where you're like, I hate everything in this book, and nothing's working, and I don't want to write it anymore. And you go anyway, and you write garbage, and you edit that later. So that's tip number 1. Man, 3, that's hard. Tip number 2, I'd say, is read lots of books. I feel like that's where I get most of my inspiration, and reading boosts your vocabulary, and I could go all English teacher on you, but I won't. But like, there's lots of reasons why reading makes people better writers. And number 3, I would say like get people to read it while you're writing. That sounds really counterintuitive, but when people read it who love you, who are not like gonna be mean, because first drafts are always bad. If they read it and they're like, that was so great, and you know it wasn't, but like when you hear it, they trick you, and then you're like, I can write this forever. It motivates you a lot. So getting people to like be your cheerleader, I think, is a good tip. Someone asked, who are some of your favorite characters you've created and why? So I'll first answer for this book. For this book, Sammy is like my favorite person in the book. He was the dorky kid, right, with the notebook. I just love him. I think he's cute. I want to give him a hug. Like, I think he's adorable. So I really like Sammy. And writing him came really easy to me, and I don't know what that says about me, but maybe I was a little bit Sammy in school. So Sammy's near and dear to my heart. I also really love writing the 2 characters you saw in the first chapter. Just like their casual, happy, like early 50s feel to them while murdering people, I think is interesting and fun, and I like writing characters like that. I don't know what that says about me either. But I will answer this for a character that isn't in this book. One of my other favorite characters that I have been writing and thinking a lot about is for a book that isn't done yet. But it's a villain. Their name is Thirst, and they're a character that I just adore. And as I've explored their psychology increasingly these last few months, it's been really exciting. So I can't say more than that because it might spoil things for people in the room. But I really, really like that character a lot. Biggest inspiration for writing fictional: home invasion stories from Mr. Neckner. Go watch him. He's great. And don't watch him at night, because then you won't sleep. So yeah, mostly Mr. Nightmare's videos were things that inspired me. One of my early favorite movies that I always tell people about. It's really campy, and most people that watch it are like, that was kind of dumb. But it's When a Stranger Calls. It came out in 2006. It's also a home invasion story. And I've always loved that movie, so that's some of the inspiration as well. Who designed the cover? Shannon! That cover really is beautiful, and Sammy's on it, which makes me happy. He's not even the main character, and I love, Shannon knows this, but she also drew out some art of Sammy that I put on my Instagram page, and I was like, I just want that to be the cover, even though it's not about Sammy. So, have you been to the places you described in Fictional? Yes. So, I know who asked this question, and they want me to share, I think. This book, I tend to, for those of you who came to the Night Book 2022, I tend to place my writing in real locations, so like I take inspiration and then kind of meld them into my own vision. But when I was writing this book, I had gotten married in 2020, and so I developed the main character Ace's home to be the home that my mother and father-in-law live in. So that's, yeah, these are some of the people who live there. Unspeakable things happen in Travis's room. So anyway, that's where it came from. And every place has a little bit of Heber City in it that I write because I'm obsessed with Heber. I grew up there. I love Heber. I think it's not really a small town anymore, but when I grew up, it was a much smaller town than it is now. And so I wrote it, Montana Knighting is similar to Heber, but smaller. So those are some places. I don't think there's anything else. I'm pretty sure that I did a couple hallways. again, this kind of just happens, so I don't plan it out per se, but some of the hallways in the school are Salem Junior High's hallways, and some of them are the hallway of my junior high that I grew up in, so yes, there are real places. Okay, that was all of the internet questions, but I'm happy to take any questions anybody has about anything. Yeah?
Do you think that, are the characters, like the interactions that we kind of got to see in that first chapter, are any of them inspired by, either directly or indirectly by your students?
What a good question. Probably yes. I feel like indirectly yes. There is no lingo like skibbity or anything in here though, so you're safe there. But yeah, I would say that you overhear students say really funny things. As a teacher, I keep a document of funny things I overhear. So probably indirectly yes. There's inspiration from my students here as well. Yeah.
They don't come from the first chapter, right?
No. Well, honestly, in a junior high they could, but no, they don't. They don't. Cool. Any other questions for me? Yeah.
What's your favorite part about the writing process?
Oh, what a good question. I think the initial writing, when I feel like nobody knows that I'm writing a book and I'm just doing it for me, that's my favorite stage. And I think the reason why is because, to some degree, I love having cheerleaders, like I said earlier, but there is something kind of magical about writing something and it's almost like a secret to everyone else of this is just for me right now. So I love that. And other than that, this stage where I get to be with you guys is really fun too and share it with people. So yeah, what else? Yeah.
What was the printing process like, and what does it feel like to have a physical book that you've written?
The printing process is actually one of the more stressful parts, especially for my poor wife. But as this is done on Amazon, but it's easy to just slap a stock footage picture on the front, but I really care about supporting artists, so I want to make sure I pay for art. But then once you actually have to put the art in all of the specific things that it wants you to, you have to, I think we printed 5 proof copies, and some of them the photos really slanty. So it takes a lot of work, but it's fun. And having it in your hands is magical. Flipping through the pages is really fun as a writer. So I usually print out my first drafts in just paper so I can just flip through it, even though there's no cover on it. So great question. Any other questions for me? It's heavy when you do that though. Yeah.
Do you tend to plan and plot everything out before you start writing, or do you kind of discover as you go along? I think there's some element of it.
Yeah. Great question. Lots of times in the writing world we say either a planner or a pantser. If you're a planner, you plan everything in advance, and if you're a pantser, you just start writing and see where it goes. I'm directly hybrid in the middle, where I love to plan out enough that I know beginning, middle, end, and then I like to discover as I go some extra things. So yeah, there's lots of little Easter eggs in the book, and so I knew that they were going to go to a lake at one point in the book, and so I named it Copycat Lake, but that's based on the Billie Eilish song Copycat. Because I was listening to that a lot while I was writing this book. So little things like that I create as I go. So yeah, kind of a mix. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask what you do when you have writer's block.
When I have writer's block, I'm a firm believer that I just go and write crap. So that's what I do. I sit down and write my worst scenes that I've ever written, so I can just be done with those scenes and then they get fixed later. So that's what I do. If I stall, then I'll never finish it because then it stays forever. It's chronic. Yeah,
Would you say that you have you ever been tempted to put all of those horrible versions of the things as bloopers together?
Wow, I haven't actually thought of that, but that would be fun. Of publish the horrible version of the book if you want.
Or how, when you're angry.
Yeah, and I just write random garbage. I will say that my mood affects how I'm writing at the time, so sometimes in second drafts I have to edit scenes. Because if I've had a really bad day at school or something, and then I write a scene that's supposed to be heartfelt, characters will just yell at each other, and then afterwards I'm that's not really where I wanted that scene to go. So usually second draft I have to filter out my own emotions. So I should do the unfiltered, unhinged, just my feelings. Good marketing plan. I'll do that. Yeah.
So you're a really busy guy, as a lot of us know. You've got a lot going on. You've got a kid. You've got a full-time job and stuff like that. And many other things. What how do you find the time, or what is your set apart time to work on these projects?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really, really lucky. First of all, thank you. That feels like a compliment. But I feel really lucky to be a school teacher. One of the reasons I wanted to be a school teacher is I knew that it would lend it easy to like still do these other creative things. So most people would probably think of me saying that summer is the time I write the most, and it's actually the time I write the least. For some reason, I find that when I have all the time in the world, I don't want to do it anymore. But the time that I schedule in is, I do writer's notebooks in my English class, and I like to kind of model for my students that I also like to write. So I'll do just 10 minutes at the beginning of class of writing, but when you have 6 periods or 5 periods, 6
It's
periods.
actually really cool to be in this class.
Oh, thank you.
He'll write, but he puts it up, and so the kids can see that he's like writing.
It's true. I think it's
He,
distracting.
deletes things and then comes back and writes. Anyway, I think it's a cool process for the kids to see.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I do 10 minutes of being in class, but that's an hour a day when you've got 10 minutes at a time. And when I write, I'm not much of a like thinker and writer. I just like write as quickly as my brain is willing to go, which again usually means my first drafts are really bad, but that means that I can get lots of words out in that 1 hour. So that's typically my writing time. And then when we do makeup days and stuff and they're doing okay, I find little moments to write as well. So I fit it in, because yeah, once I'm home, my life belongs to these two over here, especially the small ones. Yeah, Travis.
I know that you like series or books like Frankenstein, Dracula, the more, not Lovecraftian, but just like original monster stories.
Yeah.
Would you be writing more books in like a fictional universe or like a monsters universe like this, or is this just like a one and done?
Good question. Right now, this is a one and done. It has an ending that I feel is a solid end. So it doesn't have like a giant cliffhanger, but I do have a second book that is in the notes stage of like I'm just writing ideas for a book 2 of this. It would be called Imaginary. And so like in terms of this series, I do see another book possibly in the future. In terms of monster stories, you're right. Obviously from Philly, who is very me but a girl. I love Dracula, I love Frankenstein, I love Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So I definitely see them appearing again in my writing in various ways. So yes, that'll never go away. When we did Nightbook, everybody was like, "You like creepy things," and I was like, "Yeah, here I am again with a new creepy book." So I'm just gonna keep going. Other questions? And I have people out there, so I'll try to see if I can get your hands too. Yeah.
What do your students think of your work? Like, do they read it and enjoy it, or like, Mr. Dunn's weird?
Probably both. I have definitely had students, even this last week, Mrs. Craner heard him, who were like, "Why are you writing so much?" It's like, why would you do that with your free time? And it was because I flexed on them a little bit. I had students be like, "You can't write essays that quick, it's just too hard." And so I wrote 5 essays in one day. And it was like, "Yes, you can." And I think after that they were like, "Something's wrong with Mr. Dunn." But yeah, some do that. But the night book back there, Elena, do you want to pull that up? That was my book I published in 2022. Also available on Amazon. But that book, it's in the school library at Salem Junior High School. And I had a couple students read it, and one came up to me and he was like, "I wrote a fan fiction story for you." And looked at it and I was like, "That's really sweet and really cute," and I love that. So yeah, like I have had also the opposite experience where students have liked it. But that student also reads like 1,200-page Storyline Archive books, so like I definitely appeal to like the nerds of the school and not the like normal kids. Thanks, good question.
Popular teachers. His class sizes are bigger, and we all look and think, "Oh, our class sizes are small."
We decided I need to start being a jerk. So this year I've tried to be like, "You suck" a lot more, so that way they Cool, thank you. That was a really good question. Any other questions people want to ask? It's okay if you don't as well. Yeah.
When's that other book that I know you've been writing ready for us to read?
You're talking about Dragon Companions? I feel like it's ready to read now, but I'm going the traditional method, which is extremely painful. Way more painful than doing it this way, so maybe next month, maybe in 20 years. But I hope soon, because I think that's the best book I've ever written. Not to tone down this one, but I think that's the best one I've written. That's the one I'm most impressed with as myself. Cool. Any other questions? I think my students like that one the most too. Lucy looked like she had one there.
Can I go home?
No. Okay, cool. Last call. Anybody else?
Any from Zoom?
Oh yeah, and Zoom. If Zoom's got any. Sam?
Is there any author that you try to emulate, or if not, just who's your favorite author?
I love Brandon Sanderson, and I find that when I read a lot of his books, my voice starts to turn into his a little bit, which I don't necessarily want it to do that. In this one, I very much was reading things. This was not something Brandon Sanderson, I think, typically would write. So Victoria Schwab is an author I really, really love. I see some other Victoria Schwab fans. I think that her voice and word choice is like amazing. She writes City of Ghosts, the series. She wrote Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is really popular these days. She wrote Darker Shade of Magic. She wrote Gallant. She wrote This Savage Song. So like I love almost all of her stuff. So I hope my book ever remotely sounds like her because she sounds amazing. So good question. Okay, anything else? We're good? Cool. Awesome. Thank